We can still do things like, it's not as easy, but you can still do a little bit of the toe cracking and that kind of thing. I do sometimes work. Just a second. You can also do things like put the foot here. This gives more padding than a table. And then I could use like an elbow through here. I could use knuckles. Especially the Achilles band, because the Achilles band can be quite hard to find. But with an elbow, it's quite easy. With a you could also use a tool, okay? So the next area we do is the ankles, and this is a really nice ankle rotation. So what I do is I get a wide stance, and then basically I'm gonna hold the foot like this and like this. Don't hold it here. It feels really unsupported if you do an ankle rotation like this, okay? You do it like this. Then what I do is I actually use my legs to come right down like that. And you get some little crunches sometimes. She's got a really good range of motion. It feels really smooth in her ankle, although it doesn't come out very wide. So you can feel a little bit of tightness as we're coming through here. But in general, it's actually, moves pretty smoothly, no crunching, no big chunky bits. Okay, so we can do that. Then what I do is I stretch the foot like this, and these are what I call treasure troves, okay, because they hold a lot of shit, people's treasure. So I stretch it, hold points, and then I can move like this. And there's other points in here I can hold. I can also rotate while holding those points. Or I can even just come back here and hold and shake, okay? And then do what I call a gentle caress through here. This is really intense for a lot of people. So she's doing quite well. And then I can work my way through here. Don't do this on a pregnant woman. It's all relating to reproductive organs as well.
But if they're trying to conceive and they're not, it's kind of
It's only if
not
if they are
happening
pregnant.
so much. Would that help stimulate that?
Yeah,
'Cause
clear out. And this also can relate to what I call dark, deep-seated emotions like anger and rage and sexual issues that are darker, and all of that you can like hold in here, get them to shift it like by shaking it and holding it as well. So like shame and guilt, or
And we're gonna follow this up from these three toes right here, but that's actually on this other side. The heel,
this is like
this band comes up,
the big toe belly band and the big toe sacrum band
but the
both come through here.
Achilles,
The Achilles is coming straight through here like that.
the three middles
That's
that
right.
come together. Yep. And the delta on the front, but on the back, it's the Achilles that are coming from the three into here, and then it doesn't go up the.
Yeah, it does. It goes kind of up through.
Like if you were
kinda
working
the
on
middle.
someone who's trying to conceive, you want to take it from these three toes then, or start there, bring it into here.
Well, what I would do is make sure that the whole foot on both sides is released. Work through here, make sure any bad dark energy is cleared out by accessing and getting to breathe into it. Make sure all of this area is completely in alignment. So that side twist that I did on you where it all went into place, that's all going to be super important. And then I would make sure all around the ovaries are completely free of chronic residual tension, because if somebody's got even that band going through the belly, that's going to affect them severely. It affects that whole area. So clear out the emotional shit that's in the belly, clear out any of the dark energy. So basically, we're working the legs and working all the way up, and there could be various things, because it could be the nerves coming out of here. So even with PMT or PMS, what do you guys call it here? PMS, it can be the nerves coming out of here. It could be a lot of trapped energy in the tummy affecting the ovaries.
Now they call it even something else, don't they? There's another.
Yeah, I know it as PMS.
Yeah,
the
Australia,
Younger, the younger ones
premenstrual
call it something
tension.
else now. Yeah.
The weirdest thing one of the weirdest fucking words I ever heard is in New Zealand, they call this the Achilles. They got
Achilles. Yeah.
it's like a real,
Achilles.
the Achilles,
Yeah.
It's like,
You're like, what?
Yeah.
What's that?
Sounds like the Achilles, yeah? No, it's the Achilles. All right, so she's, again, pretty flexible through here. So this is just a great one we can combine. We can feel, like, what's that rotation like? And then we can even have it partly rotated, put our fingers into the area where it's jammed up into here. And we can just feel this whole area and feel wherever there's a blockage. And then we can work it like this. We could shake it. She's got what we call comments. Yeah.
What was that, Faina?
Comments. Yeah. Yeah. Feel free to swear in Russian too. It's a great way for us to
Oh
learn.
my God, you need to teach me some Russian swears. I told you I have a Russian lady that comes regularly. I need to speak to her. You need to give me some stuff.
So this is, I think I showed you guys this, but this is a nice way just to work on these bands coming up through here. We can use our knuckles. Okay, we could even on a big person, we could use our elbows. Or more our forearms, but we could use our elbows on somebody that needed it very deep in there. Or sometimes I get people on the ground and I'll use my foot in here and use the leg back and forth like that. Okay, then again, I briefly showed you guys this where we have the leg open and we can find that area that's tight and then just gently move the leg back and forth. And it's moving the band under our elbow. We can also tuck the leg in like this and get right in like that. And even just gently vibrate it. So I'm not moving along the skin, but I'm vibrating with my elbow, that tension.
God,
Okay.
I love that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I wish that was me.
Yeah. All right, so just again, feeling wherever she's tight and then just moving the leg into. Okay. I was talking a bit about where we don't really do much work over the kidneys, but one technique I learned in Shiatsu back in like 91 was this technique where if we look at the kidney area, the top of the pelvic bone here and the bottom of the ribs, we could divide that into 3 lines that we're going to work on. And we're going to hold 3 points. So 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, and we're going to do 3 points along there. And so this feels really nice too, and it's really good for like lower back pain. It's good for kidney issues. And we're going in slowly and using our body weight and our chi from our belly. So when I was learning Shiatsu, we always learned come from your hara. Mm-hmm. So what I mean by that is like our energy's coming from here and going into our hands. Not just pushing from our shoulders, okay?
You'll burn out quick that way.
Yeah, and it's also just feels very different. Massaging from your hara is like it's like an energetic connection deeper.
That takes a while to.
Yeah, and it just takes practice and self-monitoring. It's like, okay, where am I coming from? Am I coming from my mind? Am I coming from my shoulders? Or am I coming from here? And if you deep breathe and you go, okay, I'm ready to come from here. It's like connecting with your hara. How's that pressure, Faina?
Very good.
Good. And this is quite a slow series of movements. We can let her breathe in.
How far are you going over?
So I'm I'm about here. I like to do a little kind of shake at the end as well, just to disperse any of that trapped energy that's there.
I haven't seen this in a video.
It's more of a kind of non-standard one that I don't do very often, but I would do for lower back pain. I'd do for maybe after a woman's given birth, or just in, you know, anything to do with the lower back or kidneys. Yeah, I'm sure this would feel really nice for her. Really bringing my awareness into my thumbs.
Does that feel really deep, Faina?
No. It feels like right thing to do.
And then I get my third line.
Above the iliac crest?
Yeah.
Oh, so you go across the top three, then the next two
So
down.
1, 2, 3, 3 lines. And, you know, on somebody like me, it's going to be a lot bigger than
It's
on
like
somebody
8
like Faina.
lines.
Yeah. With Faina, it's kind of like trying to fit these lines in, yeah. And that feels like a really good spot. Good shiatsu is done in this rhythmical, slow way. Like I say, when I was working with these Japanese guys, it was just always about slowing yourself down, and it felt so good when they're doing it just slow and deep and with a lot of awareness. So I always emphasize that. And if somebody's anxious or nervous, then doing this kind of slow, deep, predictable movements is really relaxing for them. So with Faina, I almost feel like, because she has got all of this, just gotta get the right angle here. She has got all of this tension coming up her back here. I almost feel like doing a bit more shiatsu kind of techniques up her back. So holding of pressure points. You can see how tight that is there. Letting her breathe into it. Almost, but I'm doing a little bit of flicking over that muscle too.
Now, what did you call that? The kidney points?
Yeah. I'll just come from the other side here a bit as well. So this is more like how shiatsu is done, where it's, shi means like fingers or thumb in Japanese, and su means pressure, pressure point. So it's like a subo point. TSU is how you spell that. Su.
And you're right on the spine there?
No, her
Right to
spine's right there.
So it's to the side, each side.
This side, yeah.
Right where you can feel those.
Yeah, and I'm just holding it slow and deep and letting her breathe into it. And just doing that final flick over, which is not quite a shiatsu. It's sort of, that's more cross fiber technique, but I like to combine the two. And then I can just come in and again see what's still holding up that muscle. When it comes to putting the spine back into place, how I do it is, my favorite technique, or my most commonly used one for people of about medium or light build, is to hold on the side of this, one side of the spine with right here. That's where my pressure is meeting. And I use this side of my hand on the other side. And what I do is I turn the skin, okay? So it looks like I'm twisting the spine, but I'm not. I'm turning the skin, because the skin has this much movement Okay, like I'm staying on the skin, but the skin moving over the spine has that much movement, a lot. But what I'm doing is I'm turning the skin, and when you turn it, you don't have so much movement. So that's what the initial part of how I crack it back is. I get her to breathe in, and then I go equal. All right, so I'm gonna be doing that where I'm actually equal, and I'm not on her spine, I'm beside it. Then I get her to breathe in. I do that turn, and then at the end of the out breath, I'm going to put a little bit of downward pressure. So we'll do that now in one movement. I'll let her have one more breath.
Nice.
Good. So we got a few there.
Yeah, I tried to do that to you, but you're a little large.
It's not going to work on very big people, that technique. So the basic principle whenever you're trying to put a spine back into place is you want equal pressure on either side of the spine, but you don't want to go wide where you're on the ribs, because if you this is where you could do damage. You could break somebody's rib and puncture their lung. That's the danger, right? So you always want to be on that muscle, the spinous erectus muscle through here. So how you achieve that depends on the size of your hands and the size of the person. So if I'm doing a baby, if it's my own baby, I'll sort of hug them and then put my fingers like this, click, 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 you know?
Yeah.
And then if it's my daughter who's now like 5 or 6, that's not strong enough. So then I might still hug her and then go like that,
Yeah.
all right? Or I can do that on the table now with her because she's big enough, and I'll get her in tomorrow and I'll show you.
What about a bigger person?
Bigger person. So say you're going to try and crack my back, that you could do it like when I was in Hong Kong, I had a woman of like your size or weight or even slightly smaller than you, crack every bone in my back, and you know how hard that is, right?
Yes.
By having bars on the ceiling.
Yeah, stepping.
And used her big toes here.
Yeah.
So she'd get me to breathe in, and then all of her weight would come into her big toes. So she's using every bit of weight she had plus a sort of downward push.
Yeah.
And she got so many of my vertebrae.
But you can't do it without the bars.
You can't do it
Because
without the
you're
bars.
gonna
You
be able
need
to
the
push into it, too.
stabilization.
Yeah.
There are massage tables that you can get called a Shiatsu. So it's like Shiatsu with a letter A before it. And a Shiatsu means foot pressure.
Yeah.
Shiatsu means finger or thumb pressure. So an A Shiatsu table is specifically designed so that you can walk on the person, which is really good if you're small and working on big people. Okay, so then I can also feel where if I feel any other blockages, I could use more Shiatsu techniques or just holding. And then I like to combine Shiatsu with a bit of vibration as well. Of course, we can also open up the shoulders, get that. So how we do that is bring the arm up into this position and have the elbow down and the shoulder up. And that way we could then come into here with either our knuckles. On a big guy, I could actually have my elbow, or a big woman, I could use my elbow like that. Even on her, I can just get my elbow in between the spine and her shoulder blade. All right, then when it comes to special techniques of the shoulder, we can have her shoulder like this and then find points in here. So there's basically several different ones that we can use anywhere. And the thing is, anywhere where she's tight, it's basically where the bands are coming into the shoulder. And then we can move the shoulder like this while holding those points. We could either just go like this, or we can go like this.
Can you show the wrist thing again?
Yeah, the wrist can be done from the person facing up or down. I'll just come back here.